It all begins with Superman lying on the frozen ground of Antarctica, barely clinging to life. Blood streams from his nose, and he can hardly breathe after an unforgiving battle. At that moment, a flurry of snow rushes toward him, but it's actually Krypto, his loyal and beautiful dog, coming to his rescue. Krypto leaps onto him, wagging his tail, while Superman, unable to move, summons what little strength he has left to beg his faithful companion to take him home. That's when we see Superman's iconic suit again, rocking the classic red trunks built into the design just as he asked. Krypto drags him back to where he belongs. The icy surface splits apart and the Fortress of Solitude rises, marked, towering like a crystalline castle, marked with the legendary S on its entrance. Immediately, Superman's robots rush forward to aid him. When he thanks them, they respond that they have no consciousness. They were built only to serve, so his gratitude doesn't truly mean anything to them. To help ease him during recovery, the robots project a recording from his biological parents. In it, they explain how they sent him from Krypton to Earth to save him, telling him they love him more than the sky and the earth combined. Placing all their hopes on him, suddenly the transmission cuts out. Only half survived the journey to Earth, the rest was damaged. The robots inform Superman that he has 14 broken bones, along with severe injuries to his kidney, liver, and bladder. He desperately requires an intense dose of solar radiation to recover. They haul him beneath direct sunlight to accelerate the healing process. Meanwhile, Angela Speer, a metahuman, is tracking Superman across Antarctica but radios her team that she can't locate him for now. Back inside the Fortress of Solitude, Superman insists he wants to return to the flight. The robots warns he's only at 85% recovery, but Superman brushes them off and prepares to rejoin the battle. At the same time, Lex Luthor, Angela's boss, leads his team determined to bring Superman down. Suddenly, the hammer of Parabia strikes, landing a brutal blow that leaves Superman flat on the ground and defenseless. It's as if the enemy already knows his every move. In that critical moment, a civilian named Malik Ali, who once shared food with Superman, rushes in to help him back to his feet. But Lex Luthor notices Malik immediately. Meanwhile, Angela traces Superman's trail all the way to the Fortress of Solitude. She manages to catch a glimpse of him, but he vanishes before she can truly see. Luthor, on his end, monitors everything from his office to hidden cameras. The Hammer of Parabia declares that this will be Superman's final fight. The crowd watches him lying helpless and mocks him. Then it's revealed the Hammer of Parabia enters Luthor's corpse facilities and is exposed as Ultraman, a powerful robot who only pretended to be the Hammer to deceive the public. Luthor explains that Ultraman has spent decades studying Superman's every move, giving him a devastating edge to strike without mercy. Later, Clark Kent arrives at his job as a journalist. He gets a call from his parents who warmly congratulate him and remind him they're always thinking of him, asking him not to forget them. Clark keeps it short, says goodbye, and continues his day. Lois Lane appears soon after, teasing him with her usual playful charm. Meanwhile, the news reports that Vassal, president of Parabia, publicly denies any links to the so-called Hammer. Clark mentions he's interviewed Superman many times. Simultaneously, news broadcasts show public opinion turning against Superman after his recent actions. Over at Luthor Corp, Lex gathers elite figures to present what he calls the most powerful force on Earth, Ultraman, alongside a squad of genetically engineered raptors created to eliminate extraterrestrial threats. Luthor urges them to invest in his metahumans, claiming Superman poses a danger, but the representatives push back, pointing out that Superman has prevented wars and still holds public favor. Even so, Luthor insists Superman is a threat, though he admits he has no solid proof. Because of this, the representatives refuse to act. Meanwhile, Lois and Clark finally decide to go on a date after 3 months. Over dinner, they discuss the chaos involving the ham of Parabia. Superman tells Lois he wants her to interview him and she agrees. The recording begins with Lois driving straight in, asking about the criticism he's facing. She notes that even the Secretary of Defense announced an investigation into his actions in Arabia. Superman explains he intervened at Jarampa and spoke with Arabia's president, but he can't share details since they private, which frustrated Lois. She snaps that in an interview, vague answers make him look guilty. Clark counters that he acted because he's convinced Arabia's government is hiding something. Lois presses whether he even asked permission to enter Arabia's airspace. Superman admits he didn't. He acted alone, doing what he believed was right because lives were at stake. Lois complains she's been slammed with social media backlash, but Superman says he doesn't have time to follow online noise. Then he opens up about his origins. He explains that Krypton, his home planet, no longer exists. Its people, history, and culture all destroyed. His parents sent him to Earth as a child, hoping he'd survive and serve humanity. Lois admits that much of the public suspects he's here with hidden motives, which angers Clark. Frustrated, Lois concedes she knew this conversation wouldn't go well. Admitting relationships have never been his strength, Clark leaves silently, leaving Lois deep in thought. Meanwhile, in Antarctica, Luthor and his team reach Superman's fortress. Luthor somehow activates it, invading the place, even though Angela can't understand how. Since only Superman's DNA should open it, Luthor and his metahumans destroy the defense robots. Angela helps too. When they've cleared the space, Krypto appears, but they cover his face and shove him aside, giving him little attention. The truth is, Luthor came there for one purpose to uncover incriminating evidence against Superman. Meanwhile, Otis, a Luthor Corp agent, arrives in Metropolis with a dangerous box. The plan is to unleash it to distract Superman while extracting vital data from the fortress. Angela, meanwhile, works tirelessly to recover the rest of Superman's parental message. After heavy effort, she manages to piece it together. In Metropolis, Otis unleashes a monster. Superman rushes in to save a dog about to be crushed as the creature grows into a massive beast. Lois watches on the news as chaos erupts. The Justice Gang, Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, and Mr. Terrific arrive to assist. Together, they take the monster down. When the colossal creature collapses, Superman ensures the crowd's safety. News confirms there were no casualties, yet no one applauds. Reports portray Superman as a threat. Linguists analyze the parental message, confirming its authenticity. In it, his parents declare they love him more than the sky and the earth, but insist Earth is simple minded, weak, and must be conquered by him as the last son of Krypton. They claim he must rule without mercy. Luthor seizes this to declare Superman is subjugating humanity and preparing his descendants to rule Earth, something Luthor swears he'll never allow. Superman, heartbroken, wanders the streets while people hurl insults. Eventually, he retreats inside. Green Lantern confronts him, convinced by the message that Superman is a threat, but Superman insists he never heard the second half of the recording. It was damaged. Mr. Terrific steps in, saying forensics wouldn't have certified the message if there were any doubt. It's authentic. Determined, Superman flies back to the Fortress of Solitude, convinced the original recording is the only clue. Meanwhile, world leaders gather in an emergency summit to debate whether Superman endangers humanity. On the news, Parabia's president claims Superman intervened in the invasion to enslave them, adding insult by saying Superman covets Parabian women. After his broadcast, he slips into a portal leading directly to Luthor. Boasting, he claims they've sidelined Superman with the forged message. But Luthor corrects him. The message is straight. Superman's downfall was easy in part because of his parents. When Superman finds his fortress destroyed, he discovers a loyal robot designated F, who admits he tried to protect it but failed. The robot shuts down in Superman's arms, leaving him devastated. Soon after, he realizes Krypto is missing. Furious, he storms into Luthor Corp, demanding Krypto's location. Luthor swears ignorance. While they argue, Eve, Luthor's girlfriend, secretly streams their conversation live. The world sees Superman enraged, yelling at Luthor, sparking scandal. Peacemaker jumps at the chance to trash Superman on air. Broken, Superman visits Lois. She is surprised to learn he owns a dog and kindly offers him hot chocolate. Superman confesses his ship was damaged and he only ever heard half of his parents' recording. Lois assures him she believes in him but points out his flaw, trusting too blindly. Clark asks about her earlier words on their relationship failing. Then he admits he's considering turning himself in, hoping it'll lead him to Krypto. Shocked, Lois asks why it risks so much further. Superman says he was entrusted with Krypto and he intends to keep the promise. Lois hugs him. He whispers that he loves her and they say goodbye. The next day, Superman surrenders to Luthor's soldiers who beat him mercilessly. Stunned, Superman sarcastically notes no one even read him his rights. Colonel Flag coldly responds that since he's an alien, Superman has no rights under human law. They transport him to a desert base where Raptors escort him to a dimensional portal into a pocket universe Luthor controls. Inside, Superman discovers prisoners, political opponents, troublemakers, even Luthor's ex-girlfriends, among them a woman jailed for writing a bitter breakup blog. Superman is thrown into a cell with Rex, a shapeshifter. Luthor orders Rex to morph his hand into kryptonite to weaken Superman. Rex complies because Luthor holds his son captive in another cell. Meanwhile, Lois investigates Luthor Corp's dealings with Parabia. She discovers they've been selling weapons at dirt cheap rates. Jimmy, her colleague, arrives with shocking intel. Superman is trapped in a pocket universe. Inside, Luthor taunts Superman, revealing Krypto is imprisoned and tortured for experiments, destined for a painful death. Superman will never escape. This is Luthor's private prison. Meanwhile, Jimmy meets Eve, who secretly feeds him info. She promises to dig deeper if Jimmy agrees to a date. Disturbed, she confesses Luthor tortured a dog the day before and brags about locking away his access. Back in the pocket universe, Superman pleads with Rex to release the kryptonite so he can rescue Rex's son. But Rex, overwhelmed, presses it closer, intensifying Superman's agony. At the same time, Lois rallies the Justice Gang to save Superman. Mr. Terrific tracks his location using nano trackers he implanted earlier. He confirms Superman is in a pocket universe linked to an abandoned military base. But Green Lantern and Hawkgirl refuse to help, unwilling to fight for Superman. Frustrated, Lois storms off, sarcastically mocking Green Lantern's haircut. Mr. Terrific joins her, admitting he's only helping because it'll annoy Lantern. Together, they reach the base and locate the portal. Mr. Terrific warns that pocket universes risk tearing space apart every time someone enters. Still, he cracks the code to open it. Meanwhile, Rex, guilt-ridden over a civilian's death, asks Superman if he can rescue his son. Superman nods. Rex dissolves the kryptonite, freeing him. Superman explains he remains weak without sunlight. Earth's yellow sun fuels his powers. Lois and Mr. Terrific enter the pocket universe, only to find a river of anti-roton blocking their path. Crossing it would vaporize them instantly. Back in his cell, Rex concocts a mix from his body to mimic straight sunlight, realizing a blinding flash that restores Superman's strength. Superman breaks Rex's son out of his cell and carries him since Rex can't hold him while shape-shifting. Together, they search for Krypto but are ambushed near the anti-Rotten River. Superman nearly gets sucked into a black hole, but Krypto appears, bravely helping him. Rex joins in and with Superman's super breath, they escape. Mr. Terrific rescues them, pulling everyone through the portal before it slams shut. Superman reunites with Lois, though still weak, and insists more lives need saving. Mr. Terrific offers him his ship. Meanwhile, Eve tells Jimmy she has proof against Luthor but demands a date in exchange. Suddenly, Luthor kidnaps her. She manages to send out files, but they turn out to be selfies. Yet hidden in the backgrounds and are crucial data files. Later, Lois and Superman visit his parents. Jimmy sends Lois the selfies, and they discover Luthor's secret documents embedded. Meanwhile, Luthor prepares to reopen the portal despite risks of tearing reality apart. Jonathan Kent tells Superman that parents don't decide their children's destinies, their choices do. He says he couldn't be prouder of Clark. News reports were erupting in Parabia. Superman prepares to intervene, but Mr. Terrific warns the dimensional fissure must be closed first or Earth will be destroyed. Lois and Jimmy expose Luthor's scheme to crown himself king by seizing Paul. Luthor caused the fissure to distract Superman. Unable to close it, Mr. Terrific steals Luthor's ship. He explains the shutdown code lies at Luthor Corp. Before Superman can leave, Ultraman attacks. Luthor orders Angela to suffocate him with air. Superman rockets into space and crashes back down, nearly dead. Somehow he forces the nanites from his body. Luthor sends in raptors and Ultraman survives too. Superman realizes Ultraman is his flawed clone, created from a single hair Luthor retrieved from battle rubble. That's how he opened the fortress. He shares Superman's DNA. Though stronger, Ultraman is clumsier and easier to control. Superman tells Luthor he won't win because he's called in friends. The Justice Gang and Rex join the fight to stop the war. Meanwhile, Perry publishes everything, exposing Luthor's scheme to stir war and kill Superman. Deep down, Luthor is driven by jealousy. Even as he's beaten, Superman declares that mind overcomes might, calling for Krypto. Krypto collects surveillance spheres planted by Luthor. Raptors arrive, but Superman defeats them. Ultraman returns, but Superman strikes back harder, sending him into a black hole. Superman and Mr. Terrific shut down the fissure at Luthor Corp. Superman declares he's as human as anyone, capable of love, fear, and mistakes. That's humanity. He hopes Luthor will one day understand, but Luthor coldly replies he doesn't care. The government's authorized Superman's death. Suddenly, Krypto leaps in and savages Luthor. The team witnessed Mr. Terrific sealing the fissure. News exposes Luthor's collusion with Parabia. The world, once again Superman, now realizes they owe him an apology. Luthor falls. The war is prevented. People celebrate. Rex joins the Justice Gang. Luthor is arrested and his prisoners, including ex-girlfriends, are freed. Eve reunites with Jimmy while Lois catches Superman for a private interview. Really, just an excuse to kiss. Lois confesses her love. Superman returns to the Fortress of Solitude, where robots rebuild everything and repair themselves. He finally names robot number 4, Gary. Soon, Supergirl arrives, revealing she's Krypto's real owner. She loves partying on planets with red suns, since on the yellow ones she can't get drunk. Superman relaxes, watching a message from his human parents, reminiscing over memories, truly happy. And the story closes here. But there are two post credit scenes. In the first, Superman gazes at Earth with Krypto by his side. In the second, he talks with Mr. Terrific about Metropolis recovering after nearly being wiped out. And now that's truly the end of the story. And that wraps up for today's movie breakdown. If you enjoyed diving back to the story, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. Thank you.